Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure and privilege to welcome all of you all into this iconic banking hall, which is part of our flagship branch in India. Very soon, and I was telling both Rohan and Ayaz and Riyadh that we are going to be starting our 75th year celebrations of being in this very building. So September 24 is when we start, and throughout that year, we're going to be having lots of such events to celebrate our Diamond Jubilee here. That kind of also speaks about how long and rich a tradition we have had in this particular country. We've been here for like almost 170 odd years. Now, in this new phase of growth for us, where we're like really investing heavily in building our consumer banking franchise in India, while we are investing in beefing up our distribution network, our digital capabilities, our product suites, I think there's something which we are very proud of is the beyond banking experiences which we are bringing to our customers. So we want to be where our customers want to be, whether it's cinema, whether it is arts, whether it's music, whether it's sports. And especially in the field of sports, I think there are a lot of initiatives which we've taken as a bank, whether it's our partnership with Athletics Federation of India, where we are partnering with them to promote the women athletes. In a way, we are promoting the sport of golf in India through an HSBC Golf League. We have had 2 seasons of it. We are the title sponsors for the Badminton World Federation's tour. So there are various such initiatives which are doing. In fact, our brand influencer is an iconic sports person, Virat Kohli. Now, one such sport, friends, is tennis, which has brought a lot of laurels to this country. And we are honored and privileged to have one of the most successful tennis players which India has ever produced, and that's Sri Rohan Bopanna. So thank you, Rohan, for being with us today. Now, Rohan's list of achievements is so long that it's just not possible for me to kind of mug that up. So I'll just kind of take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about Rohan. So Rohan is currently the reigning world #1 in the men's doubles tennis. He won the recent Australian Open in 2024 for men's doubles. And in fact, he's just freshly back from winning the Miami ATP tour as well. Rohan is a 2 times Asian Games gold medal winner, 2018 and 2023. Rohan has also been awarded by the Government of India a Padma Bhushan and Arjunan Award. And Rohan has also won 2017 French Open mixed doubles. Amongst the Grand Slams, I think you've been a 2-time finalist at US Open for men's doubles and 2 times finalist for an Australian Open mixed doubles. And there's a long list, right, of Rohan's achievements. But he's represented the country at Olympics and the Davis Cup for almost more than 20 odd years. Besides playing cricket at the highest level, Rohan is also encouraging budding tennis players in his own way. He set up his own tennis academy. Coming from Kodagu, I hear you are also a barista, have your own line of coffee as well. And Rohan is also an angel investor. So he's a multifaceted personality. So thanks, Rohan, once again for being here with us. Speaking to Rohan would be another illustrious person from the field of journalism, and that's Ayaz Memon. Thanks, Ayaz, for being here. Now, Ayaz has been a journalist for almost 46 years. He's been an editor of Sports Week, sports editor of The Independent, and Times of India at various stages. You've covered more than 250 test matches, 400 odd ODIs, and 10 ODI World Cups. The 1988 and 2012 Olympics, 3 Commonwealth Games and Asian Games, the Hockey World Cup of 1990, the FIFA World Cup of 2006, the Wimbledon in 91 and 93 as a reporter and a TV commentator. And you're currently a sports consultant with The Week, an analyst with sports and news channels and columnist with leading newspaper writing on sports, politics, cinema, and social issues. And there's one little anecdote, Ayaz, which I read somewhere. You are amongst the rare Indians who had the privilege of witnessing the iconic 175 innings by Kapil Dev in person. Now, before I actually invite Rohan and Ayaz to take the stage and start the chat show, I need to introduce someone and invite someone to say a few words, without whose help we would not have been possible to put this show together. And that's Mr. Riyadh Matthew. Now, Riyadh is the chief associate editor and director for the Malayalam Manorama, who's our partners through which we are doing this event. A member of the management, he looks after The Week, a group publication and one of India's leading newspapers. He has been serving as a director and the director board of the Press Trust of India since August 2009, and he was the chairman of PTI from September 26 to September 27. He served as a board member of the International Press Trust Institute based in Vienna till May 23, and is currently serving as the chairman of IPI India since then. He has served as a director on the board of Media Research Users Council and is the deputy chairman of the Audit Bureau of Circulations. So Riyadh, may I request you to come up and say a few words?
So just quickly, first of all, welcome. Thanks for coming, Rohan. Ayaz, members, management of the HSBC and the important clients of HSBC. I was asked to speak about why the sports room. And so I just want to start with a small quote, which I've got. It's actually a quote given by, I won't say, it's actually a quote given by Prakash Padukone's daughter, who also happens to be Deepika Padukone, but since it's a sports event, we talk about sports. And she says, and there's an exclusive interview that she had with our magazine 2 months ago, and she says something which is actually so true. She says, I think like an athlete. All my role models are athletes. I'm inherently still an athlete. There is no other profession that teaches you as much as sports does. My discipline comes from my sports background. So that was the main thing when Ayaz and I started talking about Sportsroom. Of course, you mentioned about what all Rohan has achieved, you know, about the Australian Open, the Miami Open, and the various titles that he's got. But what about the battles that he's had to go through in achieving all this? We go through that in our daily lives. And I think sports, when we hear from sports stars about how they handle the various things that they do, I think it doesn't solve our problems, but it gives us an option of striving harder or trying to be like them. Rohan will highlight certain points of his career where he went through tough times. One would be, you know, his partner is Matthew Ebden. Not many know that Rohan and Matthew Ebden were the last two people left without a doubles partner at one stage, and they chose each other, and they lost the first 3 tournaments. So these kind of things, and then they're like, why, in a normal setup for you and I, we would give up on something like that. But sports teaches you something else about the never given attitude and how to fight the extra bit and those kind of things. That's exactly why we wanted to start the sports room, and even in our daily lives about partnerships, right? Sports teaches us, sports taught Rohan, it's about playing for your partner. And how when it makes it easier for your partner, it makes it easier for you as well. So basically, how sports defines us. And I think that's exactly why we want a sports room. Of course, to talk about the achievements as well. And we couldn't find a better partner than HSBC, who supports sports like was mentioned earlier. So no more boring stuff from me. Let's hand it over to Ayaz and Rohan. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to be here in the company of Rohan, who's, you know, in between taking long haul flights, he's been winning titles and retaining his number one. So he was number one after the Aussie Open, and then he went to Miami, all the way from Australia, from down under to the US, and he won another tournament there. So he retained his number one. He's here as the world number one doubles player with us, and it's such a mighty achievement. You know, I mean, he's at the age of 43, he has become number one. He's won the world. He's won the slam, and then he's now preparing, I would imagine, for the Olympics and whatever else comes after that. And we've had Shubham telling us briefly about what all he's achieved. If I don't need to repeat that here or add more to it, you can all search for it on Wikipedia and you'll get it there. And we've had Riyadh telling us about what sport means. I think what it means to, at least to me, and I've spent a lifetime in sports, writing about sports, meeting guys like Rohan. And what stands out is you fall down, you stand up, you start walking again. The sense of optimism that sports gives you is unparalleled. You don't find it in any other walk of life. You may suffer the worst crisis, and Rohan will talk about that because I'm going to evoke that from him soon. Worst crisis, physically, maybe mentally, you're down in the dumps, but you say, hey, let me hang in there and try and come out. And if you come out and you become a champion like him, what other better example or role model? So Without much ado, Rohan, let me start with your achievement. 43 years old, when you went to Australia, you had done well in 2023. You had done well in 2023. You were number 2. And then you go to Australia, you're 43 years old. Did age ever play this thing on your mind? Were you conscious of the fact that you're now in your 40s, no longer in your 20s or 30s, and then there is still something to achieve? So explain to me or us what it was. What was your sense of being when you went to Australia?
First of all, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today at the Sportsroom, and thanks to HSBC as well for getting me here. I was looking forward to having this chat with you, and 2023 was a fabulous season, finishing number 2 in the ranking, and which I'd never done before. So the age was never something which ever worried me. One of the reasons being, I think we set our limitations ourselves. Yeah. So the minute I think everyone or someone around you tells you at 30, this is what needs to be done. At 35, this is what needs to be done. And at 40, it's all done, and you need to hang up your boots. I think when we change limitations into opportunities, it's when you have a better perspective. Yeah. So the season of 2023, I think, started that journey for Ebden and me, making semi-finals at Wimbledon, finals at US Open. Yeah. And then I think we were, as a team, a very strong team who had a successful and a consistent year, which I think gave us a lot of confidence coming into Australia, and also lost that tough match at US Open. It was truly heartbreaking. I mean, especially when I'd made my first final back in 2010. Little did I know that it'll take 13 years to make another final of a men's doubles, let alone 14th year end up winning the title. But what set it apart is that I think we trusted each other as a partnership, and the communication was just getting stronger and stronger. And I felt every time we played major events, we brought our best out there. And I think that confidence, the first round, actually, to be honest, any tournament, no matter how much confidence you have, the first round is always the tricky round, because it's new conditions, new scenarios, everything. And in 15 minutes, we were down love 5 in that first set, and we ended up winning 7-6 in the third set. So, even at Wimbledon, we were match point down and ended up making semi-finals. So I think these are the matches sometimes you need to pull through in order to, just start the, groove happening. And it was incredible that last 4 days had so many
different
scenarios which changed the, narrative and perspective of my own self. Yeah. And even before we won the Grand Slam title, I knew my points were good enough to qualify to make me number 1 in the ranking. And that was something very new. In between, I had the tournament, there were so many overwhelming messages from people, who congratulated me. And it was very different. I mean, because the following day I'm going to play a semi-final match. And then here I'm, sitting there with just so many messages and overwhelming response. But yeah, it was beautiful. So I think the age was never a factor at all, and I never thought of it even till today.
So I'm going to talk about your grit. I mean, there's a physical grit coming up or emerging from fairly serious injuries or injury-related problems. And then, of course, there's the mental conditioning, because both are so important in becoming a champion. Just to kind of inform everybody that while I'll jam with Rohan for a while, I'll be throwing open for questions towards the end. So if you have some questions, please hang on to them. Don't whisper in your neighbor's ear. You can ask Rohan once I'm done. Rohan, so 23 years, long journey. I mean, at the top level, at the elite level. And then there is the weight. You started off playing singles, and then you switched to doubles or migrated to doubles in a more kind of committed way in 2010. Is when you that was a breakthrough year for you.
That's right. Yeah.
With Aisamul Qureshi getting into the US Open, finishing runners up there. The switch from singles to doubles, was it easy to make? Did you feel a sense of loss saying, I started to play tennis as a singles player and I haven't reached anywhere and now I have to switch? Did it require some kind of mental retuning?
No, absolutely. It was, I don't think any tennis player starts off saying, okay, I want to be a doubles, champion. You want to play singles. That's what you have seen. That's what we all, want to do. And I remember in 2006, I had a shoulder surgery and I was out for 6 months. So that's when I'm sitting there at home thinking whether I'll even come back to the sport, let alone whether play singles or doubles or whatever that may be. Because, and when you're sitting idle at home, there's constant negative thoughts that, we have nothing else to do. I'm going, just doing my rehab, coming back and just sitting at home. It was very important to surround myself with, good, positive people. Thankfully, coming from Coog, I grew up some wonderful people who constantly meeting and nothing to do with tennis.
Yeah.
So
drinking excellent coffee.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So that was truly there. But in 2010 or 2009, I was playing with Asamar Qureshi, and both of us, our doubles ranking was much higher than our singles ranking. So what happened was I was still playing the challenger circuit in singles, but getting into the ATP tour events in the doubles. So that 2009, I was 29. Then I said, okay, maybe next year it's time to make a switch. At least I'll be still playing the sport which I love so much and which I started this journey. So I said, okay, Qureshi and me both decided, let's, quit singles, quit singles and just play full-time doubles. And, that was definitely a breakthrough year. I was traveling with a physio called Shamal Walabji back then in 2010. And I said, first time we make a Grand Slam quarterfinals, we'll shave our heads.
Okay.
I don't know why we came up with that, but we decided to do that. And at Wimbledon, my parents were there. We were watching a match. We lost the quarterfinals, and at Wimbledon there is a barber shop right next to the locker room. Yes. So we finished our match, came into the locker room, went straight into the barber shop, and shaved our heads. And after that, I went to meet my parents, and my parents were near court 14, and there was stairs walking down, and my mom was standing there, and she looks up like this.
Says the guy looks familiar, but who is it?
So she just looked away and then she looks back again because half an hour before I had a full set of hair. And then, but these are small things which, I don't know why you want to motivate yourself. You want to, get into that,
That was sort of self-motivation.
It was, I mean, somewhere or the other, I don't know, I challenged myself to, get to this. And after that, we had that breakthrough year in, 2010. Yeah. And then I thought, oh, this is pretty easy. You make quarterfinals in a Grand Slam and then finals. And then next thing you should automatically win. Yeah.
It tells us that you need a little bit of madness in you to become a champion. If you don't have that madness, junoon nahi hoga, then you can't be a champion. But let me just talk about this 2010. So you made the transition, shifted to doubles play, with Qureshi. But at that point in time, did it balk you that the established pair was Paes and Bhupathi? So what headway will I make as a doubles player in the Indian context? Even for the Davis Cup. Did it balk you at all, or did you think that you'd find a way out past these two guys who were champions in, already dominating in a sense doubles?
Actually, it was fantastic they were there because it gave me a pathway to understand, yes, it is a possibility to get there. And, they were there to communicate with, understand what else can be done or, so that actually helped them, being there. Because as an athlete, if you have somebody who has already achieved something, you can say it is possible. Otherwise, if you're the first person, getting there and doing that, it's that much harder. You don't know what are the next steps, how to go about it, who are the right coaches to talk to. So I think in a way it was really good. They were a fantastic team together. I still constantly tell them no matter what differences they had, they should have played together as much as possible because tennis in India would have improved. Tennis got hurt, in some way that we missed out with so many things with them. But of course, tennis was known in the country thanks to both Leander and Mahesh. I think everyone associated the sport very much with them. And then of course, along with much later when Sanya also came in and I also was slowly picking up at that point of time. But I'm glad they were there at that juncture because I got to learn so much from them along the journey.
So at this juncture, I'm going to ask you a slightly prickly question, okay, which is that you had Leander, you had Mahesh, they're doing extremely well. and there is a whole bunch of people. You are included in that, and Sania is there, and some of the other guys are there. But it always seemed that, it wasn't smooth sailing, either vis-a-vis for the players, vis-a-vis the federation, or amongst themselves, the players themselves. Just, shed some light on that. I mean, I'll come back to your story and your journey.
Yeah.
But this has been intriguing me for a long while.
So anytime the federation was involved in picking a team, we had an issue.
Okay.
So, when there was no federation involved,
Yeah.
it was smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Because like a tournament I'm going to now in Monte Carlo,
Right.
I enter it myself. Tennis federation doesn't enter your tournament for you.
No. Come, let me hear this again.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to Monte Carlo for a tournament, you're going on your own.
On my own, I enter the tournament
The
prior
federation doesn't give you a name.
to nothing.
As a professional, you give your own name.
Correct. So when it came to Asian Games, Olympics, federation had to do that. We can't do it on our own.
Correct.
So hence that issue always popped up.
Right.
The clear point was that through the year, when you play 10 months a year, you're doing it on your own. You're picking your partner. This is like I picked Ebden. It's my choice. Whether I get my ranking up to number 1, I'm doing it myself. So when it came to the team event or Davis Cup or Asian Games or Olympics,
Yeah.
it is when federation now had to pick among the few and not knowing, because they don't follow you through the year.
Yes.
And it's just those 3 tournaments which they're coming into play. So hence there was always a problem.
So, I mean, it's pretty notorious, if I might say so, the kind of role played by the federation, tennis federation, over the past maybe 15, 18 years. But I do remember 2012 Olympics, there was a, hangama.
Absolutely,
You know, iske saath khelna hai, nahi khelna hai, I will not pair with so and so, so and so. It just seemed that Indian tennis was in disarray. Do you think that hump has been overcome, or does it still exist?
In some way it still exists,
Yeah.
but only the reason currently it's not there because there aren't 3 players.
Yeah.
There's only 1 player. If those 3 players were there, I think it was
Yeah.
still this going to this Olympics, we would have probably still,
Yeah, so-
it's no fun as an athlete.
Yes.
Rashmi, it's no fun. You don't want to be in that scenario, right? You just want to play with somebody, go for it, because this is who has made you is by you have picked your partner along that journey for that long a time, and that is why you are who you are.
Right.
And suddenly it's doubles is like a marriage.
Yeah.
And then when it came to Olympics and everything, it was an arranged marriage. It was a love marriage in the normal thing, but during that time it was an arranged marriage, and the federation decided
And
who
you
to
should
go
know
with.
because you had multiple marriages.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
a doubles player. So,
Yeah.
just about Indian tennis and the way we are, there seems to be a real paucity of talent, strangely, but not so strangely. While we were talking a little earlier, you mentioned why
Yeah.
tennis hasn't really taken off. Now, is it because you mentioned about the federation, not enough attention, not talent spotting, talent nurturing, etc.? Or is it because the entry barrier is very difficult?
Number 1, entry barrier is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. And second thing, as a tennis player, you need to fund your entire journey.
Huh?
Entire journey. Nobody is funding for you. So it's like me starting my own company.
Yeah.
I'm putting in the capital for years and years and not knowing whether I'm going to make it or not.
So,
Right? So wherever I go today to all these tournaments, I'm paying for my coach, I pay for my physio, I pay for my travel. So for anyone, it's a tough ask at the end of the day.
so
It's not.
how does young talent get supported?
That is why we don't have tennis players, because it is impossible. And being number 1 in the world, I can't play one tournament in the country. I
Yeah.
don't have one ATP tournament in the country to play in. So hence, I have to take a flight outside and play.
Are you going to be involved in tennis administration?
Well, that is another thing which I'm trying to tell them. They need sportsmen also involved in them,
Correct.
just to understand or change this 30 years of the same thing which is going on. Something has to change in order for the sport to grow.
No, so I'm asking you again, is pushing you into
I would love to be part of it.
You would be happy?
I would be love
But
to
you
be
would be
part of it.
fighting with the old Johnnies who you've been fighting with for 20 years.
No, I think we are all matured enough to understand we need to come together to make the sport work.
Yeah.
Otherwise it doesn't work. You need that. You need everybody to be, part of it. There's no question. I mean, if you can do it, fighting all those barriers and still, for me, able to do and reach number 1 in the world,
Yeah.
there's obviously some logic to it.
So Rohan, I'm not going sequentially. I'm going to hop and
Yeah, absolutely.
jump into other situations. So I'm assuming, I'm just kind of thinking aloud to myself and then also speaking to you. Suppose you have to become sports minister of India for a week, 1 month, 1 year, whatever it is, or just become sports minister. What are the changes? What are the changes you would like to see to make India into a sporting nation with a sense of direction? You know, not just having sports verticals which run, federations which are there, but like you mentioned, in tennis, that there is not much happening in terms of spotting, nurturing, and promoting tennis at the grassroots level and then taking it up to the elite level, unless people are well endowed themselves or supported from outside. What can be done?
I think the first and foremost thing I would love to change is wherever there's an Indian athlete representing their country in the world, for their sport to be shown in the country, telecasted and shown so that people know they are representing India.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the number one thing which needs to be done. And currently, whoever the athletes are there, to be supported and not really worrying who's not there. We are more worried about who's not there.
Yeah.
Like for tennis, they constantly say, why there are no singles players? That can only start with a structure in place. So, but if they can currently support who's there, hence the next generation can follow through it.
It almost seems actually that our best tennis years were before 20 years or before. You know, when you had the Krishnans and the Amrit Rajas, and then you had Leander and Mahesh in their pomp in the first part of their careers. And then, there used to be a whole cluster of players. But that cluster, I mean, when you ask, I'm not sure if there are any tennis buffs here, hardcore, but it's difficult to name 6 players.
No, absolutely.
They're
I mean,
not on
maybe
our
not,
lips.
maybe difficult to even name 3 players.
3,
But I'm saying, if from 20 years, if they were constantly their matches had been shown in the country, and if people would recognize them, people will understand. Like any sport.
Yeah.
Today, cricket is amazing example because everyone are able to watch no matter where they play. Hence, similarly, a structure is needed for all sports.
Yes.
So it's a great example.
Will that help expand the pyramid?
Absolutely, because from
The
the,
base of the
grassroots
pyramid.
it's supported all the way up. No matter where they are playing, they're constantly have that structure in place. So every sport needs a similar structure in order to have that growth.
Yeah. So coming back to your career, so you've made that switch, in a sense, from singles to doubles, and that's where your focus is now. And it still takes a long time to get to where you are today, becoming the number 1 and the champion and slam winner. And in between, you have had a lot of series of injuries. Now, I want you to kind of dwell a little on this, because these are quite serious injuries. I say this because after I read about you, I realized that I had suffered something similar. The ligaments just kind of don't exist in the knees. You're going to have a replacement of your knees?
Right now I have no cartilages on my knee. So eventually, yes, I do
you'll have to have
need replacement on my knee. So back in 2019, when I did an MRI, I had a really bad knee pain. I was wondering what. So I was in Stuttgart playing a tournament, and the doctor said, go do an MRI. I did an MRI, and then he said, especially my left knee, he said there's no cartilage there. It's bone to bone, and my right also is pretty bad. So I was on 2-3 painkillers a day just to play matches every time.
Painkillers a day?
Yeah, I mean, otherwise there was no chance for me even to step on the tennis court. So end of 2019, I spoke to my doctor in Bangalore, and he said, try this platelet-rich plasma PRP injections and see how it goes. So he said, okay, I'll give you the injections, but the most important part is you do a lot of strengthening apart from, it's not just you take the injection and you start flying on the court.
Yeah.
So after that, I discovered Iyengar Yoga. One of my cousin sisters, she was practicing yoga. So I just generally called her and I told her, this is my condition. What do you think? Is yoga good? She said, if you can find Iyengar Yoga, it will specifically help you, in this journey to strengthen, because I couldn't go to the gym or do squats or lift weights because it was extremely, extremely painful.
Yeah.
So thankfully, during the pandemic, I got like 4 months at home, which
doing
in
Iyengar
tennis,
yoga.
And I started Iyengar Yoga 3-4 sessions a week, 90-minute sessions each session, and it was incredible. I built a lot of strength on my legs. I went from 2-3 painkillers a day. Today I have no painkillers.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Thank God for yoga.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible that I was telling my yoga teacher, yoga is always somebody enjoy it only later part in their age
Yes.
when they're growing. I said, I wish there's a way we can find to start it from a young age because I lived in Pune for 5 years. Iyengar Yoga is very much there.
Yeah, it
but I
starts from
always
there.
thought, oh, this is too boring for me. I don't know what will I go do there. But I think, now looking at it, I definitely think that they'll benefit a lot. So today when I'm playing, to be honest, I really touch wood. There's no pain, so I'm playing freely.
Wow,
I mean,
fantastic.
so that has made a huge difference. And of course, tennis, you don't know whether setback, just overnight you
That
could,
is nature of sport.
absolutely,
It can come in
absolutely,
there.
yeah.
I'll just kind of support what he said about because I also try and do Iyengar Yoga as regularly as you, and that helped my knees, so I can stand on my knees without having had a knee replacement. So that's great. I mean,
Absolutely.
but what I wanted to highlight is that remedy from pain doesn't come easily. There is a whole commitment that is needed, and then that's the physical part of it. Then there is also the emotional and the psychological and the mental part of it. When you're combating pain, you've still got a career. You're 37, 38 years old during the pandemic.
Correct.
And then you're saying, you know what? The fire is still alive within me. The ambition is still alive. I want to kuch banna hai, kuch karna hai. Explain that mindset.
I think Ayaz, where it changed was when I started realizing my pain was decreasing, right? So then I said I can push myself more. I said, okay, I'm gonna. I had physio traveling with me and everything, and back in 2022, that year, I didn't have a physio traveling with me also, and so I said, okay, I'm gonna invest in a full-time physio, and I'm going to say this is my condition. I need to, even though if I don't practice a few days, it's fine, but I'm going to strengthen it so much and do a lot of mobility and recovery. So every day I'm in the ice bath. That helps the inflammation. After my practices, every single day, without fail, 10 minutes, I'm in that ice bath. It's become part of the routine. I do a lot of mobility, lot of strength work with TheraBands. I don't go to the gym at all. Now I've completely changed that routine. Even some days, if I don't want to practice, I tell my coach and physio, I don't want to practice today because I feel it's not like I'm going to forget how to serve or how to hit a forehand or backhand. But as long as I'm feeling healthy, and I said, no, as an athlete, no matter, you could have the best coach by your side, but if you're not healthy, he can't help you there.
Yeah.
So that is the thing I changed in order to really say, okay, I have a great partner, Zebden. Now I found somebody. I said, let's look at myself where I can bring the best out of me. I have a Grand Slam champion there as a partner, and I said, let me push and see how it goes, and let me be the best version of myself, and then see how it goes, brings out. And that is where I think even my mental strength started increasing because I was pushing myself beyond limits.
Right.
Which probably when I had the pain, there was always a little doubt, and I was not pushing it so much.
So mental toughness is, we talk about it in sport all the time, sometimes very loosely without quite understanding. But from somebody like you, we would like to know, I'm sure, that, is there a mantra? Do you get into spiritual meditation, spiritualism? What is it that you do to make yourself, in a sense, emotionally stable? Because on court, you might be facing a Federer or Nadal. Are there flutter in your tummy and you lose nerve? How do you cope with all that? And not just on court, but outside of the court, when you're building up for a tournament or overcoming an injury, is there something that you tell yourself, some practices that you put in place?
So I do about 10-minute meditations every morning, whether it's a practice day or a match day, depending on that. That is where I'm trying to really focus and on what that particular day happens. And even before my match, I take a 10-minute nap.
Before the match,
just so that it gets me, ready, for the match. Because tennis, like I said earlier, that I'm constantly we are traveling. We pay for the other tough part apart from playing tennis is we live by the day. There's no second chance, right? I mean, I'm in Miami. I don't know whether I'm there on Monday or I'm going to be 2 weeks later and still playing the tournament.
Yeah.
So that, like Indian Wells, we were defending the title from last year. We lost first round.
Yeah.
So now I have 2 weeks. I'm staying there,
Yeah.
paying for my hotel, paying for my food, paying for my coach, physio. They were all there just sitting, not knowing now whether I go to Miami, whether it'll be another first round or it could be a title. But just waking up, doing the practice, doing this routine, that builds that mental strength. And just having a daily set routine
Yeah.
makes that difference. Makes that difference to just wake up and say, yes, you want to do it. I mean, tomorrow I'm going to Monte Carlo. I don't know. Like I said, I could be out on Monday and I
Yeah.
could be back, or I could be there for a week. So that is that toughest part of the sport.
How much do you brood or mull over a defeat?
I mean, well,
Do you spend hours and hours moping?
no, I actually don't. But obviously, it depends on whether if someone you lose to 6-3, 6-4,
Yeah.
that is done. But it's when you have match points and you lost, it is more
the
difficult
tough,
to get over.
close
But
matches.
what has helped is that I go watch my matches, so I see where I could have made a difference. I've also started looking at my matches very differently. Before I used to say, okay, maybe my partner missed this volley, maybe he could have done better. So now I go back and say, oh, because I did not serve in that spot, he missed that volley. So I changed the perspective and narrative of how I'm looking at the matches. So that has also helped me mentally become stronger to say, you know what, I need to hit my spots in order to win these points. Okay.
So, I've got like 100 questions which I can't ask because we'll be running out of time and we have to give time to the audience here. I'm going to run through a few questions quickly, and I hope to elicit more about your personality, what you've been through, the rigors of training and all that. Is something that people can ask you a little offline or maybe in their question. But what's been your pick me up mantra when you're in the doldrums? What's your mantra for pick? You've lost a close match. What's your pick me up thing? Tomorrow, instead of just sitting there in your hotel room brooding and saying next 2 weeks I have to pay money, eat my own food and pay for my rent, what is your pick me up mantra? Just to show that how optimistic you are.
The number one is thing to saying that it is a new day. Show up.
Yeah.
Show up to do what you are there for. That is what has helped me. Maybe that day you want to mull over it, you want to cry, you want to do, you feel bad about it, you want to vent it out. But the next day is a brand new day. You need to still wake up and do, be there doing what you love.
You don't
That
end up
is-
smashing rackets in your hotel room and
Thankfully, no. Thankfully, no. That's also a costly affair. If I start doing that, then I need to go and buy rackets also. I'm thinking of that as well.
what's been the lowest point in your life, in your career?
I mean,
As a
there's
tennis
been,
player.
there obviously,
And then, of
you
course,
know,
I'll ask you the highest point, which may be the recent Aussie Open title, or it may be something else. You have to tell us.
no, I think definitely when you're setback with injuries is surely the lowest point, because you don't know whether you're
So
going
that
to
one
come
point
back.
when you were told that your knees are gone, was that your lowest point?
Not really, to be honest, because I knew I could still play tennis. It was just with how much I am able to bear the pain or not. The toughest point was in 2021, because I'd never been through this situation ever in my career. I went 5 months in 2021 without winning a match.
5 months.
5 months. Every tournament I went, I lost first round.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in Portugal. I lose another first round. I literally go near the ocean. I'm sitting. I love water. So I'm just sitting there, and then I pick up my phone. I call my wife and I say, I think it's time to call it a day, because 5 months I've not won a match. I've tried everything possible. I'm doing the practice. I'm doing everything. It's a new scenario. Even as a junior, I never went 5 months without winning a match. It was very alien to me.
Yeah.
So as I was expressing this, on that video call, suddenly I realized that I was not enjoying myself anymore. I became in this rat race thinking, oh, my ranking is going to drop. Then what am I going to do? If I can't play tennis, what are my next steps back home? Am I set something up? Is there, so many things around it? And I felt that is what was missing. That enjoyment of why I picked up the sport was missing. So the minute I realized that, the very following week I made the quarterfinals in Madrid.
Oh, okay.
I end up winning my
So
match,
from
and then,
almost chucking up everything to
yeah. And also thanks to my wife, who said, if you want to quit, you can quit, but don't quit when you're down.
yes.
So she said, keep going till you really feel.
Wives are always helpful and useful, huh?
Yeah.
As you know from Rohan.
Yeah. So that I think was truly a very, very low point. And traveling on the tour gets extremely lonely.
Correct.
And now you're losing first round, you're sitting in a hotel room, you're eating.
You get bored of yourself.
Not only that, it's you're going to restaurants eating by yourself. Some weeks even the coach may be going home. You can't afford a physio. At certain times you're like, oh, you're not even making any money. So do you need them? Do you need that extra expense?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're traveling by yourself. You're just eating meals by yourself. So it actually gets worse. You're living out of a suitcase already. So so there are so many challenges you're going through. And when you come over that, and today, yes, being one of the high point was the men's doubles. It is that much sweeter, that victory. That much.
Big contrast.
Big contrast. I mean, it's you have earned it. You have been there. It's taken you that long as a career.
So you hit the night spots of Melbourne that evening?
No, actually, no. We didn't hit anything. It was literally, I think, 1:00 by the time we finished everything, and then had some dinner, and then, next day for breakfast, my team, we all went and had a good breakfast and coffee. That was it.
Maybe offline he'll tell us some.
Offline, I would say the same thing. Actually, I'm somebody who believes that if you have done well, you have to appreciate your
Come on,
success.
big strapping man like you
So
went home and slept.
Because I knew when I came back to India, I'm going to celebrate with everybody here, and that did happen actually.
I'm going to run through a few questions before we open it up for the house. Who's had the biggest influence on you? I mean, as a sportsman or as a person, you may be a coach, maybe your family. You mentioned your wife. It could be one or maybe a couple of people.
Definitely the family and my coach. My coach, Scott Davidoff, has been with me for good 15 years. Even he's been through so many ups and downs, right? As a player, and you go through so many things. So I think, and without that close people, the family, coach who are by your side when you're down, I think was extremely important. So these people have been really the pillar of the entire journey and the strength which has given me to be where I am.
So try and get some little insights into Rohan as a person, not just as a tennis player. How do you source inspiration? What do you do?
Have some coffee.
Have some coffee? Yeah. Nothing stronger.
Nothing stronger.
Nothing
Yeah.
stronger. Yeah. So
Because I always say all the stronger thing is always going to be there for the rest of my career. So when I'm doing right, no reason to have that stronger.
Outside of tennis, what do you enjoy? I mean, do you enjoy travel?
I love exploring
reading?
cities.
Exploring cities.
I just love that time to really go. I still remember back in '97, I'd gone to Egypt.
Yes.
I went to Egypt, played a tournament, came back. My mom said, "Oh, so I hope you went and saw the pyramids." So I said, "No, there was no time." So she said, and then a year later, I was going back to Egypt, and she said, people travel to Egypt to see the pyramids. You have gone and not seen it, so please make time. Go see the pyramids or don't come back home. So, for her sake, I actually went. And then afterwards, I realized, actually exploring outside the hotel room is a lot of fun, and you get to actually enjoy the city better. Now, unfortunately, the tennis tour goes to the same cities every single year. So I think I've pretty much covered, most of the exploration. But that is what I actually truly love.
On the circuit or in your personal private life, are you the life of the party or you're a loner? You sit by yourself?
Well, I'm a life of the party for sure, but not when I'm down and out. When I'm traveling, then I'm a loner.
No, but you are. You seem like a good outgoing.
Yes, I enjoy meeting people, getting to know people, and I think it's beauty that I can go tomorrow to about 50-60 countries.
Yeah.
And just send a text message and ask them, what to see, what to eat. I've made so many friends on the circuit 95% of the players on the tennis circuit have come after me.
Yeah.
In the locker room, it's
Yeah.
it's a great friendship I've built over the years, and it's just beautiful. And I think that without this sport, it wouldn't have been possible.
Do you feel like, a dad or an uncle on the circuit now with so many youngsters? Tennis is flush with, or used to be flush with the teens and the 20-year-olds.
I mean, they still are, actually.
They
They
still
still
are.
are. When I'm sitting there, of course, you see these 18, 19, 20-year-olds,
Yes.
and I see them move. It's just incredible, what they're going. I tell them,
But they may
the
also be
smaller
getting
edge
that-
I have is maybe my mind is still stronger.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Maybe
but
not
that's-
physically, but the mind is still there to compete at the highest
So-
level, yeah.
Longevity in tennis, or in sport, certainly in tennis, which is also a physical sport. It involves a lot of running and strength and stamina and so on, and mental focus, reflexes. So, how do you sustain that? Did you aggressively, kind of, in a focused way, work towards that?
Yes, and I invested in myself from the beginning by making sure I had a coach, even though I knew it was expensive, had a physio, because I knew these are the things which will take me to that level. Everybody kind of says, yeah, I want to be there, but are you actually putting in that investment yourself to make you get there is the harder question.
Because the tennis federation is not going to put any
The
investment.
tennis federation, anyway, we already know is
No.
not doing it.
Yeah.
So we can't, sit and only talk about it saying they're not doing a thing about it. By the time your career is done. So I say you have to, try and put in 200% there, and then you never know what's, end of the tunnel. I mean, it has taken me 22 years, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I, put in that investment.
Is there anything which makes you flip? I mean, you just lose your cool? Or are you very steady temperamentally?
No, I mean, of course, there are times, where when I go and I'm a really hard critic on myself, and I really feel at certain matches, if I've not put in my best effort, I do, take it out hard on myself.
Head banging music and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. With the racket, you mean, right?
Where do you stand on this G80 issue? I mean, of Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. What's your take? The world gets divided. Now there is a third angle to the triangle. For many years it was only two. What do people on the circuit, fellow players, how do they view it?
I think for me, Rogers, my favorite tennis player. One of the reasons you're having a single-handed backhand, but I really believe Novak Djokovic is, the best athlete out there.
You've broken a few hearts here, but that's what it is.
So I mean, I'm a big, like I said, Roger fan. I mean, but yeah, it is the consistency he's brought in, and he also came into this sport when Rafa and Roger were already there.
And it took him a while to get into that.
Yeah, because he had to, constantly be there at it and have these guys, not only Roger and Rafa, but you had Stan and Andy. Also along Del Potro, all these guys who are also part of that journey, but then so he had to come through so many barriers, and I really feel the consistency for the last 20 years what he has done is incredible.
The younger lot, Alcaraz, Medvedev, are you seeing any kind of virtuosity in them to emulate these three guys?
I think it's going to be extremely difficult. I mean, I don't I think we are privileged to have in this era of these three guys who have done such incredible stuff. Of course, these guys so much more to grow, but I think it's still going to take a long time, and it's I don't think there's anyone catching up to where these three guys have what they achieved.
You did mention that it'll be difficult to name three Indian players offhand so easily, but can you name some Indian players who excite you, who you've seen, who might actually make the cut? Not in a very long time.
Actually, for the past 12 months, Sumit Nagal, to be honest, because I think he has matured quite a bit right now, and I really see that difference in his matches. I've been watching a lot of his matches, that he has now the self-belief that he can do well, and he was also, sometimes I used to tell him that you're more negative on yourself than actually being positive on that court. So he's someone who is slowly picking up. He can do well. But I think that mindset is just getting stronger, and still a long way to go. But yeah, And we have a couple of really youngsters, but I think they all just need good support. And this is where they need that administration role also,
Yeah.
someone to come and tell them that certain things can be changed.
A lot of players, tennis or otherwise sports persons, they'll tell you we never watch enough of tennis. We play, but actually, Rohan, as we know, has watched a lot overseas tennis players as well as Indian. But outside of tennis, what's your favorite sport?
Golf, actually.
Golf. And
Yeah,
who's your favorite sports person, male or female?
I mean, Stefan Edberg,
Yes.
always been my favorite. I mean, he was my idol when growing up. I mean, back in the day,
Yeah.
only Wimbledon was shown. And as in Coorg, Dad used to send me to the terrace to make sure I tune the antenna so that the, channel is shown. And I was,
That is when Sweden was a powerhouse.
exactly,
of tennis.
exactly. And, I never in my life dreamt that he will be watching my match one day.
Really?
I was playing with Esamola Qureshi in Indian Wells, and we were playing against Roger Federer and Wawrinka, and Edberg was coaching Federer at that point of time. So he had to sit there to watch the match. And, so that I never even dreamt of. First, that I will get to meet him. Second of all, that he'll be, watching my match. And it was incredible. I mean, to meet him, and I met him a few times after that, and I've spoken to him. He's amazing person, and he's always been my role model.
Fantastic. So now we are in a, banking institution, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank. So I must ask you a few questions about money, since you mentioned money a few times, including what the Federation doesn't do. So what's your relationship with money?
Actually, it's been pretty good. Thankfully, I've got myself a family office to manage that part of my aspect, and I really feel
You smartened up early in life.
I think so, yeah. I think so. I said, you need a professional in every department. I can't just be a professional in all those aspects. So there are certain people doing this for such a long period of time. So I rather get them on board to help me with that journey than just assume, that what I'm doing is the right way.
So intrinsically, are you conservative with money, or you like your boom boom services adventurous?
I'm boom
And
boom
aggressive.
aggressive in my thoughts, but I'm conservative when it comes to actually using it. In my thoughts, I want to go there, buy this, buy that, buy that. But by the time it happens, it's probably 5-10 years later.
All the fund managers, please take note of what Rohan is saying for if you want his money. And what's your idea of investment? I mean, do you look for what instruments do you appeal to you? Real estate? Do you want to buy flats in New York or London or Bangalore?
Those are my aggressive thoughts.
Yeah.
But I've never come to it. Every time I go there for these events and I look at these properties, I'm like, this is a good time to invest. Good time. Before I know it, 1 month later, I'm gone from that city, and that is forgotten in that thing. Every time I've always thought myself, I need a place in London. I need a place in London. It's been 25 years. I still think that. I have not picked up anything.
Do you buy art, or do you buy wine and store it?
Nothing,
for
actually.
decades?
Nothing. Yeah, I'm just happy just investing in a good fund or a little bit of real estate, and
And
just doing that.
You got good family managers, so that's helping you a lot.
Yeah, but I always tell my dad, I don't know, in many households, I said, y'all teach us everything, but why don't you all teach us how to manage money?
Yeah. Okay, like that.
I tell them, I said, you teach us this is the way to behave, this is the way to speak, this is the way to do this, but never ever taught. You have to, it's only when you grow up and you start making money, you have to find your own way how to manage this money.
Yeah.
I wish there was, a way to be taught from a young age. So it kind of actually helps. I would think it would help. Or in school, for example, if they, teach us this, because you never know as an athlete, you never know what.
That's true.
Yeah.
All young moms and dads take note. So I've got like 7-8 minutes for a few questions, if there are any from the audience. I've got a whole litany of questions which I'll ask Rohan privately. Yes.
Why don't players take part in the federation a little more? It's okay.
Because the federation doesn't want the player's voice.
Mahesh tried as far as it, but he was not successful. And why is it so difficult for them? Even Song tried, I think. And why is it so difficult for them to get there? Something has to be done about this, right? A more vocal approach towards it.
No, absolutely. But, they know that it's just an individual trying to fight it. You need a group of players to come together and actually be at it. And when you're playing simultaneously on the tour, You want to do it, and they know for after. Absolutely, I think I keep saying this. It has to be part of it. We keep trying it, but at the end of the day, the federation also needs to.
It has to be a two-way conversation.
let you want to be part of it. I mean, if
One more question, please.
See, I've been an avid tennis player for the last 4 decades. And I've been seeing the domestic tennis, it has gone down significantly since the 70s. And I'll tell you why. Because in the 80s or into the early 90s, in the summer holidays, there used to be practically in Mumbai 10 tournaments where, everybody worth their salt used to come and play, the seniors, juniors. There was a huge feeder system. And that's how, a whole lot of people like Asif Ismail, Hari Iyer, blah, 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 they went and played junior Wimbledon. Now what has happened is I see a bleak scenario where there are no players in the horizon and, this Sumit, Nagal or whosoever is despite the system. Yeah. So this federation business or whatever it is my question is tennis a dying spectator sport which is resulting in all of this, or what is it?
I don't think it's a dying sport at all. It's just
dying spectator sport.
It is not a dying spectator sport also because even in, for example, if I take cricket, right? Cricket also is a spectator sport only for the elite players. We don't go and watch Ranji. Right?
Yeah.
So the idea is if you get Federer or Djokovic to come here, we have the spectators. Right? Unlike in Europe or US, even a college system, everybody goes and watches this. There's 70,000-80,000 people going and watching the sport. So the sport is there. It's just that we don't choose to go and watch the sport. As a family, we go to the mall. We don't go to watch sport. Unlike in the US or in Europe, as a family, we go watch the sport. So that culture is not built here at all. We only want the celebrity of the sport, then spectators go and watch.
Yeah.
We don't go to watch the sport in general there. Then, if tomorrow there's even a cricket tournament going, first you'll ask who's playing that competition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll watch it on TV. Nobody's going to the stadiums to watch it unless it's an IPL or, So that way, the tennis tournaments are there. It is just that we don't go make an effort, or we just say we don't have time to, even the nationals in Delhi, which happens, people don't go and watch it. But that comes back to my question that if we start showing sportsmen who are representing all over India, then audience in India know who the players is, they will go and start watching it.
So, I mean, that's a very profound way of looking at it, and I hope people who are watching this on live stream or, the message goes out that to support sport, you have to go and watch it.
Absolutely.
You can't say that you play for me and I don't know if I'll come or watch or not, but you must still be good. It's not going to happen. Rohan, you've got a flight to take,
yes.
So we'll have to let you go very urgently, very soon. One last question? Yes.
Maharashtra State Lawn Tennis Association. I play a lot of ITF senior circuits. Play every single day of my life. Tennis. I've got one knee replacement done. Okay. I think what you pointed out is absolutely correct. If India sends a seniors team to Barcelona to play a seniors tournament, do you know what the team gets? One track pad. No airfare, no hotel, with an India t-shirt, but nothing else. That is what the federation is. And that is where the main crux of the problem lies. The federation does not support tennis as a whole.
So you get the tracksuit to cover the unmentionables, but you have to then pay for everything else.
Yeah, everything has to be paid by this, even though you are representing India. That is where the problem lies.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm hoping by the time I get to that senior tour, we'll change that.
So, ask him offline because he has to leave.
Rohan, will you be partnering Novak Djokovic? That's what I read about. Because Novak wanted to play with you.
So you need to ask him, right? He said he wanted to play with me.
You both were together.
Correct. I was together, but first I need to check with my partner Ebden whether he's going to say, okay, play one tournament with Novak.
Okay.
Yeah. But I absolutely would love to if there's an opportunity. But I don't think he's right now looking to play doubles. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Rohan, for being
you, Ayaz. Thank you so much.
so candid
Thank you, guys.
and upfront,
Yes.
and not ducking and weaving from any of the questions. So, and some very insightful observations that you made for supporting tennis, but I think in a larger context, by extension, sports in India.
Absolutely.
I think that's really
Yes.
the objective. And thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you for
And
having
thank you
me,
for
guys.
Hong Kong
Thank you so
Bank
much.
to having me this opportunity, giving me this opportunity to talk to Rohan Bopanna, who's an iconic figure in Indian sport. Number one.
Yeah. Thank you.
World
Thank
doubles
you.
Number one. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Ayaz. I think that was very, very behind the grounds or off the grounds, the kind of effort and the logistics which goes. I think that's something that was a revelation for all of us. So thank you. I'll just quickly request the branch manager, Sandeep Sethi, to propose a quick vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I, on behalf of HSBC, extend my sincere gratitude to each one of you for being present here and gracing us at this captivating session. Rohan, been wonderful to listen to you. The passion which you have for the sport, the knowledge which you have shared with everyone today, and as you said, how you've in real life turned your limitations into opportunities is truly inspirational for all of us. We'll ensure we follow that in our daily life. Mr. Memon, what can I say about you? Thank you for the active engagement and ensuring that it is a thought-provoking session. Last but not the least, a special round of mention for our friends from the week, without whose support this event wouldn't have been possible. Thank you, everyone, once again, and we look forward to inviting you for many such events in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.